Do you need extra storage in your loft? Like most lofts, this loft is full of stuff that you don't want in the house, but you just can't seem to get rid of. So today on Fix It with Fowler, I'm going to show you how to build a shelf that takes up absolutely no floor space. And the best thing is you only need some basic DIY tools and you can make it for less than £20. You can build your shelf as long or as short as you like, and that dictates the amount of timber you're going to need for this job. Now, I've gone for a 2.4 metre length of shelf, and that is the standard length of most sheet materials that you can buy from most DIY stores or hardware stores. So you can build this shelf as high up or as low down as you like. However, you're limited to the width of the shelf because of the angle of this V. So with my tape measure, if I hold it up roughly, now a standard sheet is 60 centimetres wide, and that means it will sit about this sort of height. However, I'm only going to make my shelf 50 centimetres wide. So if I take that down to 50 centimetres, that means I can come down to this sort of height. Now, it doesn't matter if I go a bit higher, it just allows me to put the shelf further to the back. To build the supports for the shelves, I'm going to be using some of this CLS timber, and you can see this is nicely angled, and now I'm going to show you how to change a piece of standard timber into something like this. From the centre line on the timber, I now measure 25 centimetres each way to give me 50 centimetres. Using a set square, I now make these marks run all the way around the timber. Now you've got the timber with the marks on, I'll put it away from you so it's on the opposite side of the joist, and that way you can see these marks. Now if you slide that down the V until you think it is about level, you can then either hold it in place, or if you've got access to some of these quick clamps, you can just loosely put them on. And then with your spirit level, you can put that on top and then just keep adjusting this until you get the wood nice and level. Once you're happy with that and the timber is in place, you can get a pencil and go down the edge of these triangles and mark them. So this is the piece of timber from out the loft, and you can see we've got two marks each side that are on an angle, and they replicate the angles in the loft. But before I cut them, I'm going to run round the side and down the other side with a set square. That means that when I cut through, I've got some guidance to ensure the cut is perfectly straight. Now the timber is all marked, you're ready to cut it. So you've got a few options, and like I said at the start, all you really need is a handsaw. However, you could use a jigsaw, a circular saw, or if you've got access to one, a mitre saw. So to show you how easy it is, I'm going to use this handsaw. Now, the trick with a handsaw is starting the cut in the first place. And what I like to do is point the saw away from me, use the tip of my thumb as a guide, and pull the saw towards me. That way it makes a groove in the wood before you start cutting. The other thing to do, if you hold the saw and put your finger down as a guide, it'll help keep the saw nice and straight, and you should be able to produce a nice square cut. You can now repeat the cut at the opposite end. Have you subscribed to my channel? Well, if not, why not? It does not cost a thing. You're missing out on loads of great content. If I'm not making things like this, I'm fixing shed roofs, I'm mending doors, windows, doing plumbing or electrics. You name it, I've got it on my channel. So head over, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to leave this video a comment and a thumbs up, and that will help it reach loads of other people. To install the timber, I've put the screws halfway through the wood already. We can then line that up with the level mark. We can then just double check with the level, and once we're happy with that, we can get one of the screws in. Make sure that we're happy with the level, and then finish off the remaining screws. So that's the first one in. Now to install the remaining beams along this run. And the easiest way to do that is get your spirit level and place it leaning on the beam itself. And then you can move that until you get the bubble totally level. Once you've got it level, you can make a mark, repeat that on the front side. And now when you get your next piece of timber, you can line that up. And once it sits level with both the marks, you know that's in the right place. So that's the 5 supports in place, and now I just need to go and cut the timber to make the top. So I've chose this P5 moisture resistant chipboard, and the reason for that is lofts in the UK do become damp, so avoid using anything that's not moisture resistant. Now this is a standard sheet. It comes in 240 centimetres in length, 60 centimetres wide. Now our shelf is going to be 50 centimetres wide. And to cut this down, you can use either a traditional handsaw, which is probably going to take quite a bit of time and effort, or if you've got access to something like this, a circular saw, it'll make your life really easy. And to set that up, that is a really straightforward process. Set the cutting depth to a couple of millimetres and now line up on the tongue of the board. Using an adjustable square, ensure that the saw is square on the board itself, and then take the measurement from the edge of the board to the edge of the saw. Transfer this measurement onto the board. Now line up the timber with that mark and clamp it into position. You can now run the saw down your guide, ensuring a perfectly straight cut. So now you've cut the front tongue off the board, you can now apply your measurements and cut this shelf down to size. One thing I will say is you're going to have an offcut from the back. Keep that because we're going to use that as part of the shelf in the loft. Now that the shelf is all lined up, I've chose to line it up with the edge of this joist and bring them to the front of this V. Now I'm going to fix it in place with these 4x40mm screws. So that is the shelf all screwed into place, and we can now put things on it. The problem we've got is you can push stuff over the back of this shelf and then it makes it difficult to retrieve. So what we're going to do with the offcut is we're going to make a little barrier to stop that happening. So to make the back support for the shelf, I've got the offcut. You can see that there is the groove out of the tongue and groove on that piece of wood. So I'm going to turn that and face that downwards so you don't really see it. And then really you can just line up the end. You can select whatever height you like. You can get yourself a spirit level, put on top, and then you can fix it into position. Now you can either have it higher up, you can have it lower down, you can really put it wherever suits you. So that is the shelf all finished, and it is really sturdy and secure. So that has created some extra storage in this loft space. Now, for anyone wondering, really this is only designed for light items. Don't go putting really heavy items on here because the roof trusses are not designed to take loads of extra weight. So I hope you found that video useful and helpful, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and join me on my journey to 100,000 subscribers.